And today we are interviewing another one of our guest speakers, Lali Abril, and she will be speaking for our upcoming Women Circle Chicago Summit 2025 at the Yoga Body Element Studio here in Chicago on Saturday, January 25th from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. And if you haven't gotten your tickets, we still do have some in-person tickets available, which will include your lunch. Please pre-register so we know how many lunches to prepare the day before the event. And also, you can just join individual sessions. So if you're not able to be there the whole day or even in person, we do have an online virtual experience as well. And Lali, our speaker, she's going to be her talk at 3 p.m. is going to be about thinking macro, the macronutrients in our food and how it impacts our health. Lali is a professor of communications at the University of Illinois, and she is also very passionate about educating people about their food environments and choices they can make that can positively impact their health. So we're going to bring Lali on. If you have any summit, send us a message, and would love to hear who you are, your experience, and what you'd like to share with the circle. And Lali, if you're able to see me, just let me know. And go ahead and invite yourself in, Lali, if you're not able to receive the request or see the request. Great. If you can see me and hear me, can you just say hello, Lali? I can't hear you, that's why. Or see you.
I think now it's working.
Yeah, excellent. Lali. Thanks for being here. Thanks for taking time to do this live so people can learn a little bit more about who you are and what it is that you're going to be sharing during the Women's Circle Summit Chicago 2025.
Thank you. Thank you, Cindy, for having me here and for the invitation to the Women's Circle Chicago Summit this year. So let me just tell you a little bit what my talk is going to be about.
Before we go into that, can you just share a little bit about who you are? I know I did my best to give you an introduction and some of your experience, but before you share what you'll talk about, who are you, Lali?
Okay. I think you did a great job introducing me, so I didn't have much more to say in spirit of shortness and concreteness. But yes, I am a researcher who is very concerned about how we understand healthy eating. And given the statistics and given that the national statistics and given that the burden of disease is driven by mostly behavioral components of the population, meaning these are things that we can change. Now, I'm not saying this is easy to do, but that is the disease burden. The first one is, heart disease and all its related illnesses, and the second one is cancer. And for the most part, these two diseases are preventable. That is, if you have a lifestyle that is healthy in terms of healthy eating, in terms of exercise and movement, and in terms of stress and emotional regulation. So healthy eating is my focus. So that is sort of the reason behind my interest and my research in healthy eating and the relation it bears with communication and our environment, understood not only as our physical environment, the shops we see, the products we see at the stores, but also our media environment. And that means both mass media, social media technology, and interpersonal relationships. So it's not so much mass media, but it's still the interpersonal communication. So I take all these factors into consideration.
Thank you. So women that are interested in attending that day, what should they expect? Should they bring anything? Is there anything they should prepare for your talk that day?
Good question. Yes. This specific day, I will focus on discussing healthy eating. So I will move a little bit away from the communication and media side and sort of a little bit clarify what is meant by healthy eating. And I'm going to use nutrients as sort of the measure, if you wish, for discussing healthy eating. So what that means is that I will provide the information about macro and micronutrients, which is actually the most important measure for healthy eating instead of sort of food groups. Those tend to be, sometimes they tend to be more accessible for people, but at the same time, they're more confusing. So focusing on macros and micros is the best, in my opinion, way to go. And again, I'm looking at people without medical conditions. And again, this is not going to be prescription or medical advice. It's just clarifying what science tells us healthy eating is in terms of macro and micronutrients. And so what to bring if folks have foods that they consume often and that they are curious about, they can either bring a picture of those foods on their phone, a picture of the label if it comes in a package or can, or it's frozen, or the product itself if they want to, or they can click off the label, however they desire, and that will provide some more sort of hands-on experience instead of saying, oh, I eat such and such foods, which could mean many things, right? If you say, I like French fries, it could be that you make your own French fries. It could be that you buy them at this store or that you buy them at other store. So it can mean many different things. So the more concrete we are, the better we're going to be able to discuss exactly what is healthy eating. And so it's going to be a discovery. I would like people to discover for themselves what is it that they are eating. It's not a place for judgment. It's just a place for clarifying, because if we don't clarify reality, what is the reality of what you're eating, and people are aware of that reality, it's very hard to move forward in terms of, okay, is there any change that I should or want to do? That discussion is very hard unless we understand our reality. So people are going to discover what is their own reality of healthy eating, not their neighbors, not their spouses, not their kids, but their own. And then from that experience, then we can open up this, different sorts of discussions. But that would be the start. Does that make sense?
So excellent. So bring examples of foods that you eat that you might be in question about is what I'm hearing. And so just for people that might be curious, that are or aren't able to attend that day, what would be considered a macro versus a micro? Is there like one example that you could give in comparison, or?
Yes. So both macro and micronutrients are nutrients. And what are nutrients? Let's start with what a nutrient is. A nutrient is a substance that provides nourishment to humans for energy and life maintenance. So we kind of need two types of sort of inputs in our bodies in terms of food. And one is for energy, so we can move, right? So people who move more need more energy, if you wish. And the other one is for life maintenance. Our bodies are constantly building and unbuilding muscle, tissues, and any other substances that we might have in our body, organs. Everything gets recycled constantly. And as we age, we recycle less. And at some point also in adulthood, and again, this is also directed only to adults, the difference between adults and children is that children children and adolescents might still be growing. So they also might need nourishment for growing, for expanding their bodies, right? Expanding, growing, so larger muscles, larger bones, etc. Once you are in adulthood, then that expansion, that growth is somehow, it's different, but we're still building and rebuilding. We still are recycling our tissues and making news and cleaning and all these things, marvelous things that our body does. So we need nutrients for that. So the difference between macro and micronutrients is their size and their function as well. So macros are big and micro is small, right? This is a nomenclature that is used in different fields. And in terms of macro, there's only a handful of those. People might think that there's a lot, but no, there's only like protein, fats, carbohydrates, water, alcohol is another macro. And there might be a few more. I'm not saying those, it's a complete finite, but those are the ones that have been discussed in relationship to healthy eating. And so, we're going to discuss these macros, which ones are important, which ones are less important, which ones are, you have to have them. And let me just dispel a myth. Right here, right now, living with zero fat or low fat is actually really not a good idea in general. We need fat. Fat is really good for us. And we're going to talk also about what type of fats are healthier for our bodies. But we absolutely need fat. We cannot, entertain a diet for a healthy adult without it. So that is plain wrong. So that's for macros. And for macros tend to be the vitamins and minerals that we also need. And the idea is that if you have a healthy and balanced diet, I tend not to like using the word balance because I feel like it's being very misused, but sort of a healthy diet, usually the macros are already found with the foods in which we sort of count the macros. In other words, if you eat, for instance, if you eat butter, which is a fat, butter contains vitamin D, and I think it contains other micronutrients that are important for us. So we don't have to go out, elsewhere and get those. They are already with the foods that contain the macros. So that's the idea. And usually I tend to like to simplify so that, because sometimes when we complicate things, it can get very complicated. And this particular amino acid, this particular, fatty acid, I think that complicates people, that complicates things for folks. So that's the reason I prefer to concentrate on macro, because if you choose your macros well, you almost are going to hit on those micronutrients automatically. So that's why the title of my talk is Think Macro.
So what I mean, thank you for sharing that a little bit more about micro for those who might not have dove a little deeper into that with their own food intake and purchases, investments. And it sounds like we'll go into some ones that can be really empowering for people for their health, as far as that macros. Excellent. Thank you so much, Lali. Is there anything else that you want to share today?
No, I just hope to see lots of folks in the talk. I hope that they bring lots of questions and lots of food so we can share and discover for ourselves something that maybe we eat every day or that we want to eat, and we want to think whether that contributes positively to our diet. So that'd be fantastic, and I look forward to talking with all of you and all the women that are going to come.
Wonderful. And Lali, we'll tag your handle here, but if people are interested in learning more about you and what it is that you're sharing about food environments and wellness in those ways, and the communications that you're sharing, how can they reach you? How can they find you?
That's a very good question. I don't have my socials in line, to be honest. And that's something that I need to work on. Even this Instagram account is for when I bake cakes, which I would argue very strongly that is not part. Everything can be part of a healthy diet, but I would not consider the cakes, super healthy per se. They are loaded with sugar, even though I use far less sugar than the recipe adds. But this is to say that this is sort of my outlet for cakes. So it's probably not a good outlet for questions, but I can share my personal email if folks are interested, not here, but perhaps, you could give it to those folks that ask for it, and that would be a good start. They can also look at my personal website. It's more sort of academic oriented. So I have some publications there. I believe that if you read the abstract, you can get a lot of what the publication is about, and that should have some of the sort of the areas or sub areas into healthy eating and communication that I focus on. That's another great start. So that's where I would go. Yeah.
And what is the website that people would go to? Do you know? We can tag it in the comments too if you don't have it right now. It's okay.
I think it's www.laliapabril.com, I believe. I can look it up. I have my computer here. One quick second.
So
Eulalia, no, actually Eulalia Pujabril. So EULALIAPUIGABRAL.net. That's where my website is.
Cool. Thank you so much for sharing that. So yes, Lali will be speaking at 4 p.m. that day. Or excuse me, 1 p.m. I keep getting the time wrong. I'm so sorry. 1 p.m. is your talk that day.
Yeah, you said 3 p.m. before. I was like, did that change? No, 1 p.m.
I'm trying to keep everybody's time straight. 1 p.m. will be Lali's talk at the Women's Circle Summit on Saturday, January 25th. Thank you, Lali, again. We look forward to having you. You've already spoken at one of the Women's Monday Circles, so it's great to have you as a part of the summit. And we'll see you next weekend.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for everything, Cindy. Looking forward.